is actually who everyone thinks Dr. Dre is.
Damn. That's
so,
wow.
Yeah, so, a lot of people started chiming in, and, they're going back and forth. They're both great producers.
Even when they were saying Dre and Eazy was beefing, Eazy stayed right here, Dre stayed right here. His backyard.
Talk about everybody coming back together. What's the deal, Eazy?
Basically, everybody is going to be me, Ren, Ice Cube, and Yella. Because we stay in free in 93, so we don't deal with Dre. Because you know where he came from, world class.
I think what people fail to realize is that the beef was between Dr. Dre and Eazy-E.
Yeah.
It never had anything to do with anybody else.
Man, things got heated. So here's what went down. Tons of people started jumping into the convo, debating hard. Both Dr. Dre and Eazy-E are legends when it comes to producing, no doubt. But behind the scenes, it got way more real than just music. DJ Quik, who's known as Compton's rawest voice and was tight with Eazy-E, once threw out a wild statement. Dr. Dre lucky Eazy didn't shoot him that day. That's not just some random drama. It's a deep cut into their messy past. This wasn't just a rap beef. It ran way deeper than anyone thought. DJ Quik's words exposed something major about Dr. Dre's so-called studio gangster image, something Eazy had been blasting since way back in the early 90s. See, Eazy-E and Quik were from the streets for real. They lived that life. Dre, he walked away from it. This whole saga is a gritty story of betrayal, street loyalty, and the roots of West Coast hip-hop. That quote from DJ Quik popped up during an interview, and while no specific moment was confirmed, it speaks volumes about the serious heat between Dre and Eazy-E after NWA split, and Dre's shady departure from Ruthless Records. Back in 1991, Dr. Dre dipped out from Ruthless Records and linked up with Suge Knight to launch Death Row. The Straight Outta Compton movie painted it like Dre was just taking control of his future.
E-story I got, it's actually quite a few of them. Whenever he used to buy race cars, he'd come and grab me from the studio and take me rocking.
But insiders? They say it was way messier than that. According to Jerry Heller's memoir, Ruthless, plus stories from Mike Klein and journalist Ben Westhoff, the truth had way more smoke. Suge Knight and his crew supposedly stormed into Ruthless Records, swinging baseball bats and throwing out threats demanding Dre's release. It wasn't a clean business move. It was straight-up intimidation. Eazy-E wasn't having it. To him, Dre wasn't just a partner, he was family. So that betrayal, it hit hard. Heller said Eazy was crushed. This wasn't just about money, it was personal. Dre, the same guy who helped build NWA, was now siding with people bringing violence to his doorstep. And here's the wild part. Heller claimed Eazy told him, flat out, he wanted to take Suge Knight out for good. He wanted to kill Suge, Heller admitted. But Heller talked him down, something he later said he regretted. That's the exact tension DJ Quik was talking about. Eazy didn't take it to the streets. Instead, by '93, he flipped that pain into fire music and smart business plays.
Would you say that you're a gangster?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Why is that? What made you give up that lifestyle?
I didn't give it up.
You didn't give it up.
Different person.
You're a different person.
Right now.
Eazy-E came back swinging with the diss track, Real Motherfucking G's, going straight at Dre and his whole new image. The video even threw in old photos from Dre's world-class Wreckin' Crew days, clowning him for switching from shiny sequin fits to full-on gangsta gear. Eazy was calling out what he saw as a fake front, Dre's entire persona. In a Vlad TV interview, BG Knockout, one of Eazy's closest allies, spilled more tea. He said there was a wild hotel meeting where Suge Knight allegedly tried to force Eazy into signing over his rights. But Eazy wasn't about to fold. He straight up faked the signature, stood up, and walked out like a boss. There's never been solid proof that Eazy ever pulled a strap on Dre, but don't get it twisted. The vibe back then was tense. DJ Quik later backed it all up, saying on camera, Dr. Dre lucky Eazy didn't shoot him that day. Whether he meant it literally or not, that statement captured how close things came to blowing up. Eazy and DJ Quik, their bond ran way deeper than just music.
In 1999,
and did it myself. Dre was blown away. Dre was like, God damn, it's like, you really did that. I was like,
Both Eazy-E and DJ Quik came straight out of Compton, molded by the raw streets, where gang life, hustle, and survival weren't just background noise, they were daily reality. DJ Quik, born David Marvin Blake, wasn't just talking tough. He had street cred for real. He was connected to the Treetop Piru Bloods and had made a name for himself way before he hit the studio. His early mixtapes, like the Red Tape, were getting passed around heavy in the streets, long before he dropped his debut album, Quick Is the Name, in '91. By then, he was already stamped as authentic. Eazy-E, born Eric Wright, wasn't a rapper at first. He was a sharp businessman who flipped his hustle into a full-blown empire with Ruthless Records. He didn't just start NWA, he gave the hood a megaphone that shook the whole world. Quik later said, "I'm living the way I am because I knew Eric Wright." That wasn't just love, it showed how deep Eazy's impact really was. While a lot of producers were chasing clout by siding with Dre and Suge Knight, Quik kept it solid. When Dre dropped the Dre Day video clowning Eazy as Sleazy E, Quik didn't jump on that wave. He kept working with ruthless artists and stayed loyal behind the curtain. Eazy and Quik didn't just make tracks together. They respected each other as two men who had lived it, not just rapped about it. Their connection wasn't built on PR stunts or industry clout. It was real, straight from the heart of Compton. DJ Quik never had to fake anything or switch up to stay relevant. While others kept flipping their image to match what the industry wanted, Quik stayed solid. His respect came from who he was, not how he dressed it up. He once said in an interview that he didn't need security in Compton. That's how deep the love and respect ran in his city. You can't fake that. Eazy-E knew it too. To him, Quik wasn't just another beatmaker, he was the real deal. In a rap game full of rebrands and fake personas, the bond between Eazy and Quik stayed untouched. They weren't just business partners, they were brothers in real life. Now, when it comes to Dr. Dre's exit from Ruthless Records, that's one of the most talked about breakups in hip-hop history.
Now, did you ever at one time, you had Dre on your label at one time? Or was he with you?
He was in NWA, and he was a producer for Ruthless Records.
All right. So Snoop Dogg was never with you?
No, he was never with me.
I noticed you're very short on those two those two names. You have very little to say.
I can talk about them all day. I mean, you know.
Movies in Dre's camp loved to frame it like he made a bold power move. But behind the scenes, it was way messier. Jerry Heller's memoir and Ruthless Records exec Mike Klein both tell it differently. They said Suge Knight didn't walk in with lawyers. He rolled up with muscle and weapons. The demand? Release Dre and the DOC from their contracts. Eazy-E was caught off guard. Sure, Dre had wanted out, but the way it went down, pure intimidation. Journalist Ben Westhoff backed it all up in his deep dive for LA Weekly and his book, Original Gangsters. The real story ain't the one in the movies, it's the one they don't want you to hear. Eazy-E did let Dre go, but let's be real, it wasn't by choice. He was pushed into a corner, plain and simple. That moment changed everything. Dre teamed up with Suge Knight and helped build Death Row Records from the ground up. He dropped the electro-funk vibe and reinvented himself as a hardcore gangster rapper. Yeah, it paid off big, but not without raising eyebrows. Lil Eazy, Eazy-E's own son, has called out the Straight Outta Compton movie for twisting the truth. In interviews, he said the film made his dad look weaker and left out how smart and strategic Eazy really was. This wasn't just another rapper. Eazy-E owned the label that created a movement. He was the boss behind the curtain. What folks forget is Eazy could have gone nuclear. He had power, resources, and reach, but he chose not to. Before his passing, in several interviews, he hinted at how deep the betrayal cut and the pressure he was under. But instead of wild retaliation, he kept it in the booth, not the streets. The drama behind Dre's exit wasn't just paperwork. It was intimidation, manipulation, and backdoor power plays. And for those who were there at Ruthless, the damage wasn't just about contracts, it was personal. That's what fueled Eazy's legendary comeback with Real Motherfucking G's in '93. This wasn't just a diss track, it was a full-on call-out. Eazy-E was putting Dre on blast for what he saw as a fake transformation. He straight up questioned Dre's street cred, dragging out old photos from the world-class Wreckin' Crew days, tight sequins, sparkly fits, and dance tracks to highlight how far removed Dre was from the gangsta image he later claimed. Eazy used those receipts to show he thought Dre's whole gangsta vibe was manufactured. That's where the term studio gangster started making waves. While fans argued over whether Dre was the real deal or just playing a role, Eazy stood firm. He believed Dre was just acting tough for the spotlight. Dre might have been winning over the mainstream with The Chronic, but Eazy's real motherfucking G's stayed grounded in the streets. The voices that knew Dre before the chains, the lowriders, and the death row makeover.
I make money from Dre and Snoop, so it don't matter. It's all good.
Have you and Dre ran into each other on one-on-one?
Yeah, Dre stays right around the corner from me, but when he sees me, he ducks his head because he's scared to face me. You know.
Why?
Why? Because he's screwed up.
Why would he want to dump? What reason would he have to dump on you?
He have to what?
What reason would he have to dump you, to talk about you?
DJ Quik didn't need to throw jabs. His whole existence spoke louder than any diss. Born and raised in Compton, tied to real street ties, and respected without having to flip his image, Quik was the real deal. To Eazy, that's what made someone a real G. And years later, fans are still talking about it in forums, interviews, and retrospectives like it all just happened yesterday. The comparisons never stopped. One Reddit user even dropped a savage take. Quik is who Dre wants to be. While that's just fan talk, it hits on something deeper, something that's lived in hip-hop culture for years. Real ones don't buy authenticity. They live it. Fast forward to the late 90s. Dr. Dre made a major move and tried to sign the legendary Rakim to Aftermath. The hype was real. People thought it was going to be a historic collab, something that would shake the game. But behind the scenes, it all fell apart before it even got off the ground. According to interviews with Rakim and others who were close to the project, Dre wanted him to switch gears, to push a harder street-heavy narrative. But Rakim wasn't with it. That just wasn't his lane. He refused to fake a gangster image for the sake of sales. That wasn't him, and he wasn't gonna compromise. Rakim later said he walked away because what Dre wanted didn't line up with his truth. That move added fuel to a criticism that had been growing since the early 90s, especially from voices like DJ Quik and fans of Eazy-E. To them, it proved that Dre's gangsta image wasn't natural. It was crafted, tailored more for charts than for the culture. DJ Quik is hands down one of the most slept-on legends in hip-hop, a true architect of the West Coast sound. He wasn't just spitting bars. He was producing, engineering, arranging, and literally building tracks from the ground up. Born David Marvin Blake in Compton, Quik's rise started with homemade mixtapes that were passed around the neighborhood like gold. His talent was raw, real, and undeniable. By 1991, he dropped his debut album, Quik is the Name, under Profile Records, and boom, it went platinum. Tracks like Tonite and Born and Raised in Compton had that instantly recognizable Quik sound, funky, layered, and full of life. While other producers leaned heavy on samples, Quik flipped the script. He brought in live bass, real guitars, and smooth keys, laying them over rich drum patterns and thick funk vibes. He added a musical depth to gangsta rap that nobody else was touching at the time. Albums like Way Too Funky in '92 and Safe Plus Sound in '95 took that sound even further. And here's the thing, Quik didn't need a squad in the studio. He did it all himself. From start to finish, his records were crafted, not copied. That's why the streets and real music heads still ride for him to this day.
Somebody put him up to that. See, Dre now works for somebody that used to work for him. And how he claims that Death Row is his, it's somebody else. It's a bodyguard that used to work for Dre. Dre now works for him. So he all screwed up.
Oh, okay. So in other words, it's like leave Eazy's album and
come over here, and then it was like a little threatening and little everything. It got kind of serious.
DJ Quik wasn't just laying down tracks. He was building them from the ground up, recording, mixing, mastering, everything done by his own hands. through the 90s and into the 2000s, Quik's impact only got bigger. Beyond his solo work, he became one of the most in-demand producers on the West Coast. He produced Hearts of Men for Tupac on All Eyes on Me, helped craft Snoop Dogg's Tha Last Meal, worked with Corrupt, AMG, and added that signature soulful flavor to the West Coast sound during the golden G-Funk era, and he didn't slow down. Quik stayed sharp into the 2000s and 10s, even contributing to Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, MAAD City Sessions. His mixes, still so clean, engineers today talk about them like legends. What really separates Quik from the rest? It's not just the music, it's the technical finesse. In the studio, his speed is next level. Known in engineering circles as a wizard, Quik could mix and master full projects in just one session, without losing an ounce of quality. He once said he mixed Ludacris's Release Therapy in under 6 hours. And that wasn't just talk. People from Luda's own camp and the engineers who were there backed it up. Few in hip-hop wear that many hats: producer, composer, engineer, and performer, and crush every single one like DJ Quik does. Unlike Dr. Dre, who built his legacy with a squad of heavy-hitting co-producers like Mel Mann, Scott Storch, Daz Dillinger, and Mike Elizondo, DJ Quik was a one-man army. He handled everything himself: engineering vocals, mixing down tracks, and even playing most of the instruments. That independence gave his music a tight, cohesive sound that stood out from the pack. While Dre had the branding power of Aftermath, Beats by Dre, and billion-dollar Apple deals, Quik moved in a whole different lane. He didn't chase global endorsements or flashy cosigns from Interscope. But in the hip-hop world, especially on the West Coast, DJ Quik is looked at like a straight-up musical genius. Legends like Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, The Game, and top producers like Battle Cat and Terrace Martin have all publicly shown love, calling Quik a pioneer who shaped their sound. Even behind the boards, Quik was untouchable. He mixed tracks for icons like Jay-Z, Talib Kweli, and Janet Jackson. And he's said to have been brought in to fix sessions when other engineers couldn't get it right. In fact, in one interview, Quik even mentioned that Dr. Dre himself tapped him a few times to help out when things got tricky in the studio. You won't hear that in most mainstream stories, but behind the scenes, there's a deep level of respect between the two, even if there's still a little competition in the air. Lately, DJ Quik's been speaking up, loud and clear, about how the industry slept on his legacy. In a 2021 social media post, he let the frustration show, saying he felt he deserved a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and even a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. And honestly, he's got the receipts. His catalog spans over 30 years, and his influence still runs deep through the next wave of artists. Quik's work is the blueprint for independent producers who want to master their sound and stay in control. He never chased the clout. His name might not flood the headlines, but his fingerprints are all over West Coast hip-hop. While Dre built a commercial empire, Quik became the technician's legend, a go-to name among DJs, producers, and artists who know the craft. He's seen as one of the most complete, no-compromise artists to ever touch a mixing board. When Straight Outta Compton dropped in August 2015, it wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural reset. Directed by F. Gary Gray and executive produced by Dre and Ice Cube, the film smashed the box office with over $200 million worldwide. It became the highest-grossing music biopic ever, pushing NWA into icon status for a whole new generation. But behind the lights and applause, critics, historians, and even folks who were there pointed out some major holes in the story, key players, and real tension that got left off the big screen. While the Straight Outta Compton movie spotlighted Dre and Cube's rise and battles, it skipped over a lot of the darker, messier truths that shaped the real story behind NWA. Industry insiders and family members have called out the film for being too polished, saying it was carefully curated to protect certain brands and boost select legacies, while burying others. One of the biggest things left out? Suge Knight's real role in Dr. Dre's exit from Ruthless Records. Yeah, the film showed Suge as aggressive, but the full intensity of what went down, that was toned way down. In real life, insiders say it was way more sinister. BG Knockout, Lazy Bone, And even folks from Ruthless Records have shared way more intense stories about threats, pressure, and serious street tactics. One major moment that got completely cut? That infamous hotel meeting where Sugi allegedly tried to force Eazy-E into giving up Dre's contract rights. And Eazy, thinking quick, faked the signature and walked. That level of behind-the-scenes heat, nowhere to be found in the final film. Another major miss in Straight Outta Compton? How they downplayed Eazy-E's role as the real architect behind NWA and the machine that was Ruthless Records. Eazy wasn't just a rapper standing out front. He was the brains behind the entire movement. He co-founded Ruthless with Jerry Heller and personally pushed NWA's early records through independent channels before locking in deals that took them nationwide. But in the film, Eazy's image was mostly reduced to a tragic character, talented, yeah, but constantly outplayed. What got lost was his sharp business mind and unmatched eye for talent. This is the same man who signed and built up Bone Thugs and Harmony and Above the Law, extending Ruthless Records' legacy way past NWA's prime. His son, Lil Eazy, didn't hold back in interviews. He said the movie failed to show his father's real power, his leadership, his ability to stay strong even when surrounded by betrayal and corporate games. He also called out the fact that Eazy's family was barely consulted during production, despite having key stories and insights that could have added major depth and fairness to the story. And let's not forget, MC Ren got sidelined too. One of NWA's founding lyricists, Ren wrote a huge chunk of their bars during their prime, yet in the movie, barely any screen time. He even tweeted in 2015, calling the film out for minimizing his role. That post went viral, and fans agreed. Too much truth got left on the cutting room floor. MC Ren said it loud and clear. True fans know my role in the group as far as lyrics are concerned. Don't let the movie fool you about my contribution. And he wasn't alone in that frustration. Critics like Ben Westhoff, author of Original Gangsters, and Jeff Weiss, a respected music journalist deep in West Coast hip-hop history, backed him up. In multiple breakdowns and reviews, they pointed out how the film leaned hard into the Dr. Dre and Ice Cube narrative, basically erasing key players like DJ Yella, the DOC, and DJ Quik. All of them were tightly connected to Ruthless Records and had major influence in shaping the scene, but their voices, barely a whisper in the movie. Jeff Weiss, writing for LA Weekly, also called out the film for skipping over Dre's controversial past, specifically the well-documented allegations of violence against women, including the infamous incident with journalist Dee Barnes. Dre did later issue a public apology, but Straight Outta Compton didn't touch that part of the story at all, and it didn't go unnoticed. Critics accused the film of rewriting history to keep Dre's image clean. Then, there was the portrayal of Jerry Heller, played by Paul Giamatti. In the movie, Heller came off as shady and money-hungry. But before his passing in 2016, Heller and others from the Ruthless camp pushed back, saying that portrayal was one-sided, biased, and maybe even damaging to his name. Before his death, Jerry Heller even filed a defamation lawsuit against the Straight Outta Compton producers. That's how strongly he felt the film got it wrong. Sure, the movie nailed NWA's cultural impact and brought their legacy to a whole new audience. But the way it chose to tell the story sparked a whole different conversation, one about who gets to tell history and what truths get cut to protect certain images. For a lot of folks in the hip-hop community, especially the ones who actually lived through that era, the movie wasn't the full story. It was just one version, shaped by those with the biggest voices and the most to protect. Important names like DJ Quik, Above the Law, and even Eazy-E's own children left completely out of the edit. DJ Quik, who helped build the West Coast sound and was personally connected to Eazy since the early 90s, wasn't mentioned once in the film. His legacy, his impact, his voice, all missing from the spotlight. DJ Quik's role as a producer, technician, and one of the few who could stand toe-to-toe with Dr. Dre still matters if you really want to understand that era. Yeah, Straight Outta Compton dominated the box office, but the battle for legacy, that's still playing out today. Through podcasts, deep dive interviews, books, and rare clips, the real story keeps resurfacing, unfiltered, raw, and sometimes straight up uncomfortable. Quik has always spoken with real love when it comes to Eazy-E. In interviews and appearances, he's credited Eazy for opening doors, showing loyalty, and being solid in a game filled with fake smiles and paper-thin images. He once recalled hanging out at Eazy's mansion in Calabasas, not just making music, but building a bond. That was brotherhood. And when the public started turning on Eazy, Quik never joined the noise. He kept it real, supported him behind the scenes, and honored his legacy long after the cameras stopped rolling. Dre may have turned himself into a billion-dollar brand with Beats, Apple, and Blockbuster Films, but Eazy's name lives on through the people who knew him, who felt his impact, and still speak his name with respect. Quik never had to explain where he stood. Loyalty like that don't need a spotlight. And for those who were really in the room, Eazy-E will always be the one who started it all. If you felt this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop history. There's so much more the mainstream won't show you, but we will.